Okay, hi there. I'm going to talk about the shift lever here for a moment, and then I'm going to also talk about some other things. I had to mount the lyre so that I could install the shift lever. Also had to install the keyboard, the keyframe actually, so that the shift lever's in position. And the reason for that is because the rods on a Steinway piano, this is a Stienway M, they don't have any adjustment. They're just rods, is all they are. So to have this exactly in position like that, this has to be making contact with the keyframe. And the whole lyre had to be moved forward. I had to move the whole lyre forward. The reason for that was because the slot has to be where it is. You know, we need a certain amount of travel on the plungers, about a ½ inch, so that they're at maximum force when they're centered with the coil. The problem here, I added shims, was because the key bed on the Steinway is really, really thin. And that means that I would have to screw down these tips way, way down. And what happens is that if they go down too far, they start pushing up on this little rubber tip. And I don't want that because it starts lifting them, actually. So to avoid that, I added the shims here so that this whole tray sits a little bit lower. And then I can have plenty of adjustment on these plungers. If you don't have a jig like this, you should make one. And I usually align them right here to the keys. I screw it in. And this jig also shows me the position of the sostenuto and the position of the sustain. And of course, this is the jig that I use for adjusting the plungers once I have them adjusted from that jig and the keyboard in place here. That lets me know exactly how to do the adjustment on this. Okay, I'm going to take out the keyframe here. When you put the keyframe in, make sure that you put the end blocks on as well, so you have the keyframe in position. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the keyframe. I'll show you a few things here. You can see right here I use rubber bands, and the reason for that is so that the punchings don't fall out. I'm wondering, if you don't have any rubber bands or access to rubber bands, you could probably use a bicycle tire, the inner tube inside. If you use that, you can cut it, thin, and maybe use that. I don't like using masking tape, because if I use masking tape, then you have all the sticky stuff that's left on the pins. You can see here that I added wood here to because the cut made the back part of the rail really thin, and the felt wouldn't fit on there on just a thin piece of wood, so I had to add these extensions. Also had to cut here to modify for the shift. I'll turn this around and then you can see you can turn this upside down with those rubber bands and nothing happens. But right here, I made the cut and basically used this multi-purpose tool to do that with. It's like an electric chisel. And it cuts it really, really nice. And then after I sanded those sections, I used this sander to make sure everything is sanded nice. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.